Coming over to the right hand side of the screen, we'll start looking at setup prompts. First of all, into property types. We've given you some default property types listed here already. You can either delete any that you don't need by clicking on the option and using the trash can item at the bottom, or you can add in any further options you would like by clicking the new property type button at the top. First of all, give your property type a name. Now you have to think about setting the portal type. Now, when you're dealing with a property type, you only ever set the portal type, not the portal style. So if it's property type, it's portal type to match. Selecting from the drop down, find the most appropriate option in the list and save. Once you've clicked save once, click the cross at the bottom and the option will not immediately appear for you in the list. But if you click the cross up at the top, then open property types again, you can see my property type of garage has been added in and it has the appropriate portal type assigned, and I have nothing under portal style. Once you're finished with your property types, you can think about the property styles. Every property that you add, you will first select the property type and then you will specify the property type with a property style. So if you had selected a property type of house, you could then specify with the style whether that house was detached, end terraced, semi-detached or terraced. You also have options for a flat of a ground floor flat or an upper floor flat. Again, you can add in any options that you need by clicking the new property style button at the top. Type in your property style here, for instance Muse House. Ignore portal type, because remember when we're setting the property style, we then set the portal style. Select the appropriate option from the drop down and save at the bottom. This one is added immediately into your list. If there are any options in here that you don't want to see, you can just click on those and use the trash can item to delete exactly as we did before. Next up is property ages. We give you 3 defaults of older, modern and new build. The only options you have to send your property ages through to the portals are pre-war, post-war or brand new. However, if you would like to add more specific property ages to use internally, so for your matching, or to pull through to your own website, you can do. Clicking into new property age at the top, you can type the desired property age you would like to list, and then just select the most appropriate portal age from here. Save at the bottom will add that straight into your list. The system column is just telling you whether this option already existed in the system or if it was one that you added in yourself. If you want to delete any property ages, you can again do so with the trash can icon. Now, many of the changes that you make within configuration are session based, meaning that they will only be implemented once you have signed out of the system and then sign back in. So, in order to see how the property type and style age work, I'm going to log out, then enter my username and password again and click login. Hovering over properties in the top menu, if I select add a new property, I'll be taken to the property wizard. From here I can go to the features tab and you'll see how the property type, style and ages appear. They're drop down list to select on every property, so I would first select my type, then my style and my age. So that gives you an example of how those features will work. If you added a commercial department and on that commercial department you selected to show commercial types, you'll need to click into the commercial types option here and ensure that everything you would like listed is here. Remember, of course, you can select new commercial type if you would like to add anything in, and again work with portal type here. We'll then think about the matching essentials. You have matching essentials 1 and matching essentials 2. If you think back to your departments, the defaults are to have matching essentials 1 enabled for sales and matching essentials 2 enabled for lettings. You may have changed these options when you were configuring your own departments. You may have turned them off altogether if you don't want to use the matching essentials. But before configuring your matching essentials under setup prompts, it's worth coming back to departments to double check which options you selected here or change them if necessary. Matching essentials are a way to further filter the matches between applicants and properties. By default, your matches are based on the price of the property, the number of bedrooms and reception rooms, and the location, as well as the property type, style, and age. If you would like to add in more specific filters, that is where the matching essentials would come in. So, I use matching essentials 1 for sales. Clicking into here, I'm going to add in some new essentials to list. Try not to go too overboard here, just give a couple of default options. For instance, a garage or a garden. Once I have my essentials in the list for my sales department, I can close at the bottom and think about matching essentials 2, which I have chosen to display in my lettings department. You're probably going to want different essentials for lettings to that which you chose for sales. For instance, whether your property accepts pets. You can add in any other essentials that you wish, but again, try not to get too specific, just think about the most important items. Having added those in, I've signed out and back into Expert Agent so that they will have become active, and I can now look back on the Property Wizard to see how my essentials display. On properties, they will be titled Property Features. You'll either have 1 or 2, or some of you may have both, depending on the department that you have set your property to. So, looking at Property Features 1, if the property has a garage, ticking in here, and if it has a garden, ticking in here, and they will display in the Property Features list. If I go back to the Details tab and change my department to Residential Lettings, in the Features tab you can see it's now showing Property Features 2, allowing me to accept whether or not this property will allow pets. Next up in setup prompts of your configuration is contract types. Again, we've given you some of the defaults that you may want in here. If you would like to add anything extra, you can do so by clicking New Contract Type, giving it a title and choosing whether or not you want that to be your default. Automatically, a sole agency will be your default. You can change that by clicking into any of the individual contract types and ticking the default box. Next, looking at sales board status. Now, don't be distracted by the name because this is where you would also list your possible lettings board statuses as well. If you would like to record in Expert Agent what type of board you are putting up at a property, you'll need to come into here to ensure that all of the different sale board statuses you have are listed, and also add in your letting statuses. Work through the list, ensuring that you have everything required, including any let by or let and managed boards. Once you're happy with the options in here, close at the bottom. We'll look more about how boards come into play later. Occupier statuses, again we've covered the defaults for you, but if you would like to add any others, you can do so by clicking New Occupier Status. Inquiry sources and inquiry methods are something that you would select when entering any record into the system. You would first say the source of your inquiry. So where did this client hear about your business? If there is anything extra you would like to add, do so using New Inquiry Source. Again, you can tick if you would like that to be your default option, and then save at the bottom. If you're happy with all of these, close at the bottom, and then think about inquiry method. So how have they contacted you? Have they walked into the office? Have they sent you an email? Any other methods that you may use, you can list in here. We then have contact types. So this is thinking about any contact record that you may need to enter into the system. We've given you most of the defaults in here, but if there is any extra that you would like to add, just use the new contact type button at the top. Next up, we've got event types. These are events that can be recorded on any of your records in the system. Check through the list on here and add any extras that you would like to list by clicking the new event type button. Once you're happy with those, you can think about appointment types. So these are the options that will appear when you select to add an appointment to your diary. The main thing of which you should be aware is that viewing does not appear in this list, but it does not need to. Viewings are catered for elsewhere and they are not something that you have to add into the system yourself. So even though viewings aren't listed, you don't have to put them in. Instead, think about other appointment types that you might want to list. For instance, if you want to record your staff movements within the diary, you can click New Appointment Type, add in an appointment type of holiday, and give it an abbreviated name. Clicking Save will add it to the list so that you can then record your staff holidays in the Expert Agent diary. The final options that we'll look at on this section are all lettings specific. Maintenance types will cover any maintenance record that you need to log on a property. We've given you most of the defaults here, but of course you can add in any extras if you wish. Tenancy agreement types. We give you one basic tenancy agreement of a 6-month AST with notice to be given 4 months into the 6-month period and an inspection due 3 months after the start date. If you also offer different agreement types, you need to click New Agreement Type to add them in. I'm going to add in a tenancy agreement type of an AST 12 month. Give it a further description if you wish, or you can just copy the same details again. The initial term of the tenancy is 12 months and the renewal period is 10 months because I would need the applicants for this one to give me 2 months notice in order to end the tenancy. So they are giving me notice 10 months into their tenancy term. An inspection will become due after 3 months. Once you've filled in all of the information, save at the bottom and this will be added to your list. You can add as many agreement types as you want. Deposit schemes, we've covered the 3 most common in here. If there are any deposit schemes you work with that aren't listed, click in here to list the scheme name and then a link to the website. Utility types are recorded in here as well. So any utility that you may need to take meter readings on or that you would need to contact the utility provider, you should list in here. We've given you the basics. The only ones that are commonly added in here are broadband if you do get involved with that. Management types at the bottom are for the management types that you offer your landlord. By default we have let only, rent collection and fully managed, but if you have a guaranteed rent or any other similar type, click New Management Type, give it a name, select the management type from here and choose whether or not you're going to pass rent to the landlord. Saving at the bottom would add your new management type to the list.